We got the exterior of this thing buttoned up today. Gutters are finally tied in. Everything's been breaking on me. It's just like what I say every August and September. Like where I'm at geographically, it just rains, it's hot, equipment breaks. Tore apart the entire tractor today. Like wheels, hoses. It's been a freaking day. But I wanted to jump on here because I haven't been able to edit any videos. I tried this thing where I shot some like 12, 15-minute stuff, but total footage is like 25, and I'm like, I'm not getting it down. So I'm like jumping on, letting you guys know, if you haven't joined my Instagram, tag that up right here. I normally will do a story every day, especially when days are like crazy. It's point and shoot, no edits. So, you know, it's always there for the most part. But nonetheless, I wanted to jump on today, and I'm hearing the chatter. I haven't been doing anything but getting knee deep in hydraulic fluid. Is apparently we now have vax mandates on any corporation, 100 employees or more, and anything federal. And I don't know the rest of the rules beyond that, so I really am quite uninformed, but I have a few private group chats that I'm part of, and they have lit up, like completely lit up. And I'm like, this is interesting, right? Like, what are going to be the consequences of this on our society? And I would say, number one, it's probably going to be divisive, meaning probably going to divide a lot of people, and it certainly changes the incentives for businesses. Do you want to have more than 100 employees? If you have to force people to do things, but you're not really forcing them, I guess they could always leave and go somewhere else, as long as they're not too successful and have more than 100 people. I just find it very interesting, and I want to bring these conversations up here on YouTube, but most of this I talk about on Instagram, because eventually I'm going to get banned probably on both platforms, which is fine. But Instagram is pretty raw and uncut, and rather opinionated on I pretty much give it straight, and eventually I'll get banned. But nonetheless, join that up. I've got several videos in the queue. One's on the small boat, which is cool. It's on how I would build a boat company out if I were to build a boat company out. But does it really are there really any incentives to build a company now in America at this point in time? Does it make more sense to mess with like bytes and bits? Like, should I really mess with atoms and dirt and like the physical world? Or is it more of like just hunker down and survive this period of history, which on Instagram I go pretty in depth on. But nonetheless, wanted to jump on and just say I apologize for not getting a video out in the last 2 days. Gonna be getting them out, but I just had to, like, everything broke. Dump truck broke, this broke, issues with putting the house together. Everything's been nuts. So let me know what you guys think about what's going on right now pertaining to medications that have been rapidly approved, even though it takes 7 or 10 years to normally approve these type of medications. They've been rapidly approved, even though we have no history of actually, successfully having a medication for, say, the common cold. And there's a lot of reasons why. But so I would argue that there is no such medication. There are maybe things that help, maybe things that actually help spread, in my opinion. I think that we're seeing, we will always see different variants. This will be with us forever. But how much of it do we want to allow to change our culture? Like, are we going to be cool with masks and mandated medications for life? Because this is with us forever. And also, is it cool that like 2 of the characters that happen to be relatively pretty involved with this back in the lab days also are the guys out there with all the solutions now? Nobody's getting charged. Nobody's under investigation. It's just very odd. And some of the crazies that have been banned on YouTube several years ago, I have to say at this point in time, they haven't been wrong. They haven't been wrong, but they're calling for some crazy, not just this. They're calling for some real crazy. And so I find it interesting. I'd like to know your guys' take on what you think about that. Personally, I think it's very interesting to mandate anything. I think that the entire governmental level is very interesting. Not quite sure how human beings have evolved to request that they love to be ruled over by another class, less competent class. I just find it interesting. And maybe at this point in time, maybe the average dude's going like, do we need these systems and institutions? Which ones of these institutions are important to protect long-term for like national sovereignty? Do we need nation states? one thing's for sure, I think that what we're about to see in the entrepreneurial landscape, I don't think we're going to see a lot of people want to have 100+ companies, 100 member companies or larger. I think they're going to probably divide, probably use a lot of subcontractors. I think that this ties into a great book called The End of Jobs. Actually, this kid was interning for a podcast I used to listen to, and he put together a fabulous book called The End of Jobs. And I think his predictions from 5 years ago or so are pretty much on playing right now, where I think we might see a movement to subcontractors and individual contractors in businesses of one. And they might be large businesses, especially with what you can do with technology these days. But it kind of makes sense to me, at least it incentivizes at this point in time, I believe, to start doing that. It also incentivizes, should you mess with things that are physical and geographically tied, or is it better to mess with bits and bytes? But if you do mess with bits and bytes, then who creates the real stuff? Like if there's no stuff being made and they're just bits and bytes, well, you can't eat bits and bytes. But the incentives are such where it totally makes sense. Got a beautiful Piper Cub flying over top right now. So, thanks for being here, guys. Thank you for liking these videos. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you over on Instagram. Peace.